was this? Hold on, Brad. So I printed this off. This is what I was told to print off. Hold on. Brad, I'm just putting on speaker so you can. So I have this. It says obtaining blood samples for police enforcement from patients suspected to be under the influence. Okay. This was something that you guys agreed to with this hospital. The three things that allow us to do that are if you have an electronic warrant, patient consent, or patient under arrest. And neither of those things, the patient can't consent. He told me repeatedly that he doesn't have a warrant, and the patient is not under arrest. So I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do. That's all. So.
Okay, so I take it without those in place, I'm not going to get blood. Is that? Am I fair to surmise that?
Alex, you're not representing the person in the hospital. You're just pointing.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea why he's blaming me. I'm just representing.
Why are you blaming the messenger?
She's the one that has told me no.
Yeah, but sir, you're making a huge mistake right now. Like you're making a huge mistake because you're threatening a charge.
Okay.
Oh, please.
No, we're done.
No,
We're done. You're under arrest.
Hey.
We're done.
Sir, I had administration coming. Hey, sir.
Alrighty, what's up, fam? Hey, Babs, I see you. Glad you could join me this week. We are live once again, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you Facebook Live. We got Public Enemy doing their thing. Melly Mel, what's going on? Public Enemy has taken over the mic today. They heard the mic was live. They came back out of the 90s with a fitting tune for today's topic. Y'all know I come out here a little bit early, so I'm going to be giving people... That's okay, Babs. I know you're a faithful listener, and I appreciate you, sister. So, and you know we could always catch it on the replay. We're going to post it again on YouTube. You do what you got to do, sis. Take care of business. You know how I feel about that. I always tell people support black, be black, buy black. And if we're going to do that, we got to take care of our business. So you do what you got to do, Babs. Like I said, I know you'll be out here every week. You be supporting the move. And I appreciate you so much. We out here a little bit early like we do every week. We got about 4 more minutes to go before we get into our topic matter. You know, we like to get out here early so people can get the message that we are out here. We got Public Enemy in the background. Fight the power. And I picked that tune because it goes along with the topic matter that we're going to be discussing today. I've been seeing a lot of stuff in the news, and it's very important that we look at certain things, certain issues. We're going to be discussing power and how absolute power corrupts absolutely for today's topic matter. So buckle up, stay tuned. We're going to give a couple of more minutes for people to join us on the feed here. And then we're going to get into our topic matter. Public Enemy, Fight the Power. It's funny because this tune came out the same year I started the Mic is Live in college. I started the show back in the late 80s, early 90s. Back then we was fighting the power. They were trying to boost up the tuition around the city. We talked about that a couple of podcasts ago, how Andrew Cuomo and most of the state officials and governors and people in politics now that's running the scene, that's controlling the money and the economics, they went to school for free. They didn't have to pay a thing in city universities around the city and around the country, actually. If you was a citizen of the United States, community college you didn't have to pay for. But as soon as they got their degrees and they got their little positions and they got in control of everything, they started raising tuition. I think tuition now is close to $3,000, probably close to $5,000 a year now. You know, so we took over the schools, and this song was coming out back then. We took over the city universities and held it down for a couple of weeks, man. People was mad at us. Even some of our own people was mad at us because they couldn't graduate. But we wasn't playing. We wasn't having it. And during that time, I developed this show called The Mic is Live, so people could express themselves and let the people know what was going on in the community and around the area. And so, looking at things now, we are coming back, and we are coming at you live. Hold on for a second. I'll be right back. The show is getting ready to start. I gotta say bye to somebody. All right. So it should be about that time, about 2 o'clock. We're going to get into our subject matter. And today's topic, we are going to be talking about power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And again, if the music is too loud in the background, please let me know and I'll turn it down. Yeah, we want to talk to you today about power. Absolute power, corrupting absolutely. And the thing that got me thinking about this topic, I've been seeing so much abuse of power in the news lately. You know. Oh yeah, before we get into that, let me just send a shout out to people of Texas. You know, still dealing with the aftermath of the storm. You know, they're dealing with things down there. I was very tempted to, because I saw a couple of posts where FEMA was paying people to take off from their jobs or whatever and go down there and help out. And I was very tempted to do that, but, you know, there are certain things that I have to take care of for myself at home that I'm not just able to get away right now. But we want to send a shout out to the people of Texas, and if you can take advantage of that, get in touch with FEMA. I believe they're paying people to go down and pay all expense paid to go down and help people out down there in Texas. We definitely want to send a shout out to the people of the different island chains in Central America, the Virgin Islands, Bahamas, different islands that got hit by Irma. Irma ain't no joke. You know, don't be listening to that drug head Rush Limbaugh. You know, he got on his radio show talking about it's a left-wing conspiracy, it's not real, but his big fat butt got up out of Florida and left. So don't listen to that knucklehead. The only good advice you can get from a drug addict is don't do drugs. Anything else, you can't listen to what they got to say. So don't listen to that nonsense Russ was talking. Get up out of Florida. Right now, the projected path of the storm is to go hit the west side of Florida, the Florida Keys. They're telling you guys get out of the Florida Keys. So if you're in the Keys, you better get up out of there while you can, because this storm is no joke. 157-mile-an-hour winds was the last projection. It's over. This is how big the storm is. The eye is over Cuba right now, but some of the effects are being felt in southern Florida. So that lets you know how big this storm is. And they're projecting that when it does make landfall in Florida, it's going to cover the whole state. So this is a very big, very dangerous storm. Our prayers go with all of our family down there. We got family down there. My nephew's down there, but he's in Fort Lauderdale, I believe. And so we hope that he stays safe and do the right thing. Listen to the authorities. If they're telling you it's a mandatory evacuation, please get up out of there, okay? Man is very ingenious. We can do a lot of things, but, we have yet to stand up against nature. When she wants to do her thing, we got to go with her and let her do her thing, so... Don't be foolish. If you're in the low-lying areas of Florida, get up out of there. Get out of those Florida Keys. They are going to disappear. If you're in South Florida, South Beach, down in that area, Miami, down in that area, if you're in the coastal areas, get up out of there. This is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. This storm is real. We also want to send a shout out to Mexico. They experienced a double whammy. Mexico is experiencing a hurricane, just made landfall, I believe, last night, and they had a earthquake down in Mexico. I think it was a 9.0 or 8.0. It was very high. I understand that 11 people lost their lives. They're still digging out from under there. So, there's chaos going on all around the world, and things are happening. In India, they're having floods. Parts of Africa is being flooded, or Kush is being flooded. So things are going on all over the world. We're not just feeling it here in the States, but our human family is suffering right now. We need to send out as much help and good energy as we can, because the balance of this ecosystem is very, very precious. You hear all these nuts walking around talking about global warming is not real, it's just a hoax and all that. Let me tell you something. I taught science in the high schools. I love science. I study it whenever I can, and I'm telling you, the world scientists are saying that this is some real stuff. The data is pointing to an increase in global temperatures, an increase in the greenhouse effect. I understand last week there was a story released about the permafrost. For those of you who don't know what permafrost is, there's a layer of frost, of ground in the Arctic and in the North and South Pole that is permanently frozen. It's a layer of ground that's permanently frozen all year round. And they're saying that the permafrost and that layer of ground that's permanently frozen in the Arctic is melting. Okay, and that has never happened before. Just at the beginning of the summer, there was a iceberg the size of Rhode Island just melted and disappeared in the ocean. And anybody that understands how our ocean currents run, that salt water to freshwater ratio is very important in terms of keeping the temperature of the planet and the weather systems at a certain level. And once you get a certain mixture of freshwater to saltwater ratio mixing together in our oceans, that changes the balances of things. And that much fresh water, a chunk of fresh water melting into the ocean the size of Manhattan, I believe they said it was. That's a lot of water, and that can throw off the ratio, which can make our weather patterns go crazy. So, this ain't no joke, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go for that okie doke Republican nonsense talking about, global warming is a hoax. It's not a hoax. This is some real stuff that's going on. How much we can affect it, how much we can reverse it, is a question that has yet to be answered. But to sit back and do nothing and ignore it is to court death and to be looking into the eyes of evil. So we want to remember those areas that are affected by these adverse weather patterns, and we want to give a shout out. If you could send money to them, send money. If you're retired, sitting at home doing nothing, like I said, get in touch with FEMA. See if you can get down there to Dallas and these other hard-hit areas and help these people out. Because it's all about each one helping one. Okay, let's get into our discussion. We wanted to talk to you today about absolute power corrupting absolutely. Absolute power corrupting absolutely. Okay, again, what prompted me on this subject, I saw several videos on Facebook and in the news that disturbed me. Different people. Hey, Enrique, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Being accosted by law enforcement. There was one particular case where a nurse was basically doing her job and didn't want to draw blood from somebody. And she was arrested. They let her go without pressing charges or whatever, but she was arrested by the officer on duty, and there's a whole story behind that, which we're going to get into. I saw other videos where people basically was asserting their rights, and hey, Mace, my cousin Mace is out here, basically standing up for themselves. There was one young man, I saw a video, a young man in the car. He was a passenger in the car. The police was asking him for his ID, and he was reading off of a card or something, I guess, that he got from a lawyer, and he was saying, I don't have to show you my ID. And he was reading the law, quoting the actual law as to why, hey, how you doing, man? As to why he didn't have to show his ID, but the cops wasn't having it, So another video where a young man was asked by the police to show him their ID. And Avis, how you doing, Avis? Good to see you. And the young man reached for his ID, and while he was reaching for his ID, the officer pulled his gun on him. And he was like, yo, why you got your gun on me? You told me to get my information. I was getting it. And the cop didn't want to hear it. So it just got me to thinking, about how we have given power to certain individuals in our communities, in our society, and in our lives, and that prompted my discussion today. Absolute power corrupting absolutely. Okay. Now, I'm gonna look at this from different angles. I'm gonna look at it from the political side, political power, because there are different levels of power. We're going to be talking about political power. We're going to be talking about social power. We're going to be talking about economic power, and as well as personal power. All right? It's very important that we look at these different subtopics of the main topics, because this is how they affect us on different levels. Now, in terms of political power, we know that the orange man is in power right now, and he has no clue as to what he's doing in there and how he's affecting our society. Okay? When you look at how he's making these moves and making these judgments, and he actually thinks that executive order is executive privilege and executive law, you understand that he has no clue that there are 3 checks and balances within our system. Now, I'm no great fan of the American political structure, okay? But I do know and understand how it works. You have the executive branch, which is our president. You have the legislative branch, which is the Congress and the Senate. And then you have the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court. Now, all 3 of them have distinctive powers that they can act upon. And all 3 of them are kept in check by each other. Now, Congress makes laws, all right, not the president. The president doesn't make laws. The president ratifies laws by giving his signature to them. So in other words, a congressman comes up with an idea, he puts it on paper, he presents it to the House votes on it, whether they want it to be a law or not. It goes to the Senate looks at it, if they don't like something, they make amendments to it, they send it back, it's voted on again. You get this tennis game of votes going back and forth, and when both of them agree, then they send it to the president. Now, if the president sees something that he doesn't like or he doesn't feel that it's effective for the people, then he can deny it by not signing it. Okay? So, but once it's signed by the president and it is law, then it's up to the judicial branch to interpret that law as to how it applies to the American people. So you see, none of these 3 branches of government have absolute power or absolute control over how this country is run. And then subsequently, all of their power is given to them by the people. That's why the Constitution starts off, we the people. It doesn't start off saying the president. It doesn't start saying me the president or we the Congress, we the Senate, or we the judicial branch. It says we the people. And again, I'm not a great fan of the political system, and I don't believe in that the electoral college system. That's why we got the orange man in power now. I think that it should be one man, one vote. Okay, it's just too much power being consolidated into this electoral game, and it's not a fair game. That's why when they're running for president, they don't go to certain areas that are in need. They go and they campaign in the areas that have the most electoral votes. Where's the justice in that? Where's the balance in that? There's no balance in that. That's why absolute power corrupts absolutely. You understand? And that's why we have to be aware of who has gotten this power, who is in charge of making these laws. You know, this election that's coming up, the midterm elections that are coming up are very important because those are the elections that determine your senators and your local officials. You know, I've always said that the hierarchy of our political system is about rich people governing rich people. But when you look at what really affects us, it's our mayor, it's our city council, it's our community boards, it's our school boards. Those are the elections that are very important that directly affect us, even though we're affected by all the other stuff. But that's a trickle-down effect. The stuff that affects us right away and directly are those midterm elections, and you guys need to be aware of it and need to get out there and make it happen for yourselves. You know, we have to really be diligent in terms of who are in these positions and who we're allowing to be in these positions, who we're allowing to teach our children, who we're allowing to police our streets. All right. I was watching the other day, and these people just finished this march from Carolina to Washington to protest the Orange Man and try to get him impeached. And I'm like, really? All you did was waste your voice and some shoes, because that marching and singing and praying stuff is played out. You know, we need to really get a new strategy going. All right, we've been marching and praying for 50 years now, and not a damn thing changed. People are still getting shot in the street. Money's still being stolen out of our pockets. And bread is keep getting more and more expensive. So, kill all that. All that is just a big show of your ego. And that ego thing plays a big part in what's going on both sides of this thing. And we need to be aware that, we need to make certain moves and do certain things that are really going to affect change. All right. We talked about the new black codes, and in the new black codes, I think it's number 5 or 6. It says, "I will no longer march, sing, or pray for change, but I will actively be engaged in organizations and in movements that will affect change in my community." So get off of that marching and singing stuff, because all they doing is laughing at you and taking names. All that marching and singing don't do nothing. Like I said, we've been doing that for 50 years. And the very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results, expecting something different. That's just plain insane, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get off of that kick. You're marching all the way from one state to another, talking about you going to get somebody impeached. Come on, let's be for real. This man got some diehard believers behind him, and your marching and your singing ain't going to get nobody impeached. It might draw some attention to you, and it might draw some attention to whoever's organizing it and build up their ego or whatever, but it ain't going to affect no real change. You have to affect change on a social, political, and economic level. You got to hit them where it hurts, and then they'll listen to you and make moves to give you what you want. But all that marching and singing, all that's going to do is, like I said, wear out your voice and wear out your shoes. That's all you're going to do. Let's be for real about it. So looking at this thing from a political standpoint, absolute power corrupts absolutely. We have this thing in our core that we need. It's as if we need to be led, and we need somebody to lead us. We are all leaders within our own right. You don't need anyone to lead for you. You don't need anyone to make your decisions for you. The truth of the matter is we the people are the leaders. The political figures are supposed to be the followers. When the founding crooks put together this country, they didn't put it together in the mind with kings and monarchs and hierarchy and a bourgeoisie running the country. That wasn't the idea. The idea was for that each individual was to be responsible for their own selves. Each individual was the king of their own castle. Each individual was responsible for their own ownership. That is why one of the stipulations in the Constitution is that the government should not infringe upon your right to pursuit of life and happiness. That is not the government's responsibility. When George Washington was inaugurated, nobody knew when he came in town. Malcolm, my cousin, is here. How you doing, Malcolm? George Washington came to Washington for his inauguration in a horse and buggy. He spent the night at some local person's house. He came in, took the oath of office, and got to work. Now we're spending the budget of a small country on the inauguration alone. That makes no sense. We've gotten off track in our thinking as to who our government is. We're not servants of the government. The government are servants of the people. They are supposed to be following our lead. They're supposed to be following what we want. We don't follow what they want because we've relinquished that power to them. And that absolute power that we have given them has corrupted things absolutely. And that's the only thing I agreed with the Orange Man in his statements and his bid for the office. Washington, D.C. and most of our political institutions have become swamps. Under the table backdoor deals where people are shaking hands and giving nods. Meanwhile, the people are getting screwed out of what they need and supposed to have. We need to clean the swamp. You can't expect a snake to go in and clean the swamp. because a snake is going to keep the swamp a swamp because that's what he lives in. We, the people, need to clean the swamp. We need to take back that power that we've given them. Kathy Everett is here. How you doing, Kathy? It's good to see you. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember that. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if we give absolute power to our political officials, then they will be absolutely corrupted into doing something other than what the people need done. Next, I want to talk about social power, and by way of police brutality, because that was the main thing that brought my attention to this subject matter. I talked to you about the different videos that I saw where people just basically was being abused by a rogue policeman, And this ain't about dumping on the police, all right? I've got police in my family, my brothers and different family members are on the force, So this isn't about dumping on the police and about hating the police or none of that, You always hear people qualifying statements before they talk about the subject saying, well, all police aren't bad, and I'm not even going to go down that route. Like I said, I got family on the force, and I know that there are some good individuals, there's some good human beings that are police officers, but at the same time, I know that fraternity, the fraternity of law enforcement is a corrupt system, and it needs to be taken care of. All right, that blue wall of silence that comes up every time a cop does something wrong needs to be dismantled brick by brick. All right, we look at this case in Salt Lake City, Utah. This nurse Weebles or Wobbles, whatever, I think that was her name. She was a nurse. Now the background story is this: there was an officer, Officer Jeff Payne. He was involved in a high-speed chase. All right, the criminal that they were chasing crashed into a truck driver, and the criminal died, and the truck driver was severely injured, so that they took the truck driver to the hospital. And this officer, Jeff Payne, and his partner, the supervisor, as a matter of fact, knew they were in hot water because they weren't supposed to be involved in a high-speed chase. Just like I know in New York City, it's the same way. Police aren't supposed to be involved in a high-speed chase because it endangers the lives of innocent people. So it's something that they try not to do. And once this truck driver was injured and taken to the hospital, this Officer Payne goes to the hospital and try to get the nurse to draw blood from him while he's unconscious. And she's sitting there reading her mandate saying that unless the person is conscious, gives consent, or under arrest, or the officer has a warrant, she can't take blood. This guy goes into a rage and arrests her. I'm watching, looking for anything she might have done, and her supervisor's on the phone saying, listen, she can't do that. He's screaming at her. She's like, yo, why are you upset? I'm just telling you what my job is. And this guy, goes off. And I've seen this so many times before where a person can be talking reasonably to an officer, and they'll just go off. And it's all about their egos at that point. It's not about the law. When you look at these rogue cops, and again, we go into that thing about all cops ain't bad, and they're not. I've seen the other side, too, where cops will step in, very rarely, but I've seen cops step in and tell a partner or whatever, you need to back off because you're wrong. You need to stand down, But 9 times out of 10, we know what happens. They either step back and let it go on, or they'll join in and start beating the person down, too. But, this guy, seriously crossed the boundaries in terms of his authority, And that's what I mean about absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now, on the flip side of that, we have to look at ourselves. And I call this the 9/11 effect. You know, ever since 9/11, we've been running around with this whole thing about how cops and soldiers are heroes, and we put that in their head. And you know, like any other human being, that's what we fail to see. Police officers, firemen, soldiers, they do a very difficult job. And I'll be the first to say that they should be respected for the job that they do. But at the same time, they put their drawers on like everybody else. They put their pants on like everybody else. And when they got to make a bowel movement, they sit down and take a dump like everybody else. They ain't nothing but human beings, all right? And if you keep pumping that into a person's head about their hero and they this and they that, and keep swelling that ego, at the heat of the moment, they're going to start thinking they God. So some of that responsibility of putting this thing in perspective falls on us. Because ever since 9/11, we've been running around calling people heroes. I hate that word. You know, you ain't no damn hero. You're just a person doing a job. What makes you more heroic than a teacher? Okay? Clifton is out here, my cousin Clifton, and Bobby, great musician, Bobby Humphreys out there. How'd the gig go, Bobby? I saw you posting saying you was on your way to a gig. I hope it went well. But, you know, we need to get off that kick. You know, like I said, they do a very difficult job, and they should be respected for the job that they do. But they ain't no more heroic than the next man. You know, you're a police officer, you got a gun and a badge and all this authority, but you deal with the same individuals that a teacher deals with. Those same young people that you're out there dealing with, a teacher's in the classroom with 30 of them at a time. Why they not heroes? Okay? Those same individuals you're dealing with, there's some grandmother raising them. Past her time. She done did her time, raised her kids, and now she raising them. So why she not a hero? Okay? We need to get back to we the people. Okay? We need to get back to we the people. Thank you, Clifton. You know, we need to make them understand that just because you wear a badge or you carry an M16, you ain't no damn hero. That word is played out, and we need to stop putting that into people's heads and make them realize that before you put on that uniform, while you're in that uniform, and when you take it off, you're somebody's father, you're somebody's husband, you're somebody's brother, you're somebody's friend. Okay? Because once we get away from that, we get into that hero worship, absolute power will corrupt absolutely. And we need to really get off that kick. Okay, social responsibility. We the people need to take responsibility for ourselves. You know, anytime we get to a point, and this is what I was saying before, it's as if we have the need to take that responsibility and give it to somebody else. So when something messes up, we can blame them. You know, oh, you messed up the economy, or you look at this neighborhood. We trusted you to be the mayor, and look at my neighborhood. We gave you the power to police, and look at the streets. Nah, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Take back that power. Take back that power for your neighborhood and your communities, ladies and gentlemen. We the people run this city. We the people run this community. We the people run this city. We the people run this state. We the people run this country. You know, that's how it is. That's how it's got to be done. You see what's going on out here. You see what happened in Charlotte, Virginia. You see what this man did with the DACA Act. You know, so much stuff is happening, man. These white supremacists aren't joking in terms of taking back what's theirs, or what they feel that's theirs, what they feel they have a right to. I saw this post the other day. This woman had the nerve to post, DACA is like a person stealing a bike and then giving it to their child and saying it's theirs just because they wrote it. Well, guess what, white person? White privilege is stealing a country, raping a people, committing genocide, and then giving it to their children and saying it's theirs just because they stole it. You know, you better be for real about that, man. It's a shame that people have gotten away from the truth and reality. And this is why you gotta know your history. This is why you gotta know who you are. If you don't know who you are, somebody will sneak in, take everything you own, take everything you are, and start making you believe that you're the thief, you're the problem. When the truth is, you're the victim. That's why I'm not so hard on brothers, you know, that go through certain trials and tribulations with law enforcement. You know, that's why Barack Obama pardoned a lot of people, because he understood. A lot of these people that are locked down in these penitentiaries and stuff and going through these hard times, you know, they're not the real criminal, they're the victim. That's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that they're the victim being victimized over and over again. You know. But again, this doesn't take away from personal responsibility. And we have to take responsibility for who we are, what we do, what we own, and what is rightfully ours. You know, and that includes our own protection. You know, referring back to the new black codes. You know, you brothers go out there, get those gun licenses. I'm not saying go and just buy a gun off the street and have illegal guns. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about become a legal gun owner. Go get it legally. Go get your license to carry it. All right, go get some lessons on how to use them. Learn how to hunt. Learn how to fish. Learn how to swim. I can't believe how many brothers talking about, oh, black people don't swim. What the heck are you talking about? Most of us come from islands and places where there's nothing but water. There's no reason why you're 20, 25 years old and you don't know how to swim. That's ridiculous. Don't know how to fish. Don't know how to hunt. Don't know nothing about nature. All you know is your cell phone. You know? Somebody break into your house, you gotta hide in the closet with your woman instead of grabbing your gun or grabbing a baseball bat and beating the mess out of it. Oh, but that's what the police for. Let me tell you, only a fool gives another man total power over his protection and the protection of his family. Anybody do that, excuse my language, but you're a damn fool. If you believe that that's what the police for. That's not what the police for. The word police means to contain, to conceal, to reorganize. Look up that word police and you'll understand what the police are for. They're not there. Their primary responsibility is not to protect you. Their primary responsibility is to come and contain the aftermath of the situation. Your primary responsibility as a man of your house is to protect your family. And if you're going to give that responsibility to someone else, enemy or friend, you're a damn fool. And I mean what I say. Okay. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Okay. Next topic on that subtopic is our economics, ladies and gentlemen. Economically, we have to become viable. We have to become stronger. We cannot give our power, economic power, to the banks and to these other entities, to these churches. Don't get me started. You know, I see a lot of, before the hurricane in Texas, I saw a lot of people posting in this Joel Osteen guy. I ain't want to dump on you, because a lot of you are my friends and whatnot. Or sending out these posts, oh, don't pass this without saying amen, and posting white Jesus talking about he's your friend, type amen. Come on now. Ain't no white Jesus was in the Middle East or the motherland back in the time when black Jesus walked the earth. And most of y'all, that's all y'all got on y'all walls is white Jesus. Come on now. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Stop giving your money to these jive preachers out here talking that nonsense. Some man come to your door with a white Jesus, you need to grab your shotgun and chase him away. Makes no damn sense why a black man in this time period kneeling to a white Jesus, giving up his economic strength to a white Jesus, somebody preaching a white Jesus. You must be out your mind. Do you know if half the churches in this country pay taxes, most of us wouldn't have to pay more than 3 or 6% tax on our money? Most of these churches are some of the biggest rip-offs in the world. Some of these banks, big rip-offs, man, because we haven't taken economic responsibility for ourselves, for our communities, and for our home. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you give away your political power, if you give away your social power, if you give away your economic power, all right, that's absolute corruption. There's not a man on earth that could resist it. Sure, there's some moral people out there that'll do the right thing, but 9 times out of 10, absolute power is going to corrupt. Absolutely. So we need to take responsibility for our economic power. I don't care if it's $2, I don't care if it's a penny. Save what you can. Save that money, invest that money, and put it into entities that's going to work for you. We need to work together in terms of our economics. We need to build together in terms of our economics. I got to check my time here, so bear with me. I'm going to check my time. Uh, 2:40. I got a couple of more minutes to go. But like I was saying, economic strength, work together. Like I told you guys before, some of you guys know each other, some of you don't. You see your names popping up on the timeline, reach out to each other, contact each other, find out what your common interests are, see what y'all can formulate together. What kind of entities y'all can get together. Who's got what talent, who can do what, who's a good writer, who could write grants, who has an idea for a store or a business, who's a good musician, how can I invest in your next project, get that money working. Let's work together. We got to work together with each other and build together with each other. All right. And lastly, I want to talk to you about personal power. Personal power. Because again, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the only way a person can have absolute power is if you give them that power. I would speak to my grandson all the time when he get in trouble and try to point out to him, like, yo, the only time you can get in trouble is if you take your power and you give someone else control over you. That's what happened when you're in trouble. When you get in trouble with the authorities or the police or anybody, you have basically taken your personal power, your personal control over your life and giving it to someone else. And then they're telling you when to wake up, when to go to sleep, when to eat, when to wash. All right? And we don't need that. We don't need that in our community. We don't need that for our young men, and our women and our children don't need to be left desolate and alone, unprotected, and untaken care of because the men of our community has taken our personal power and putting it in the hands of individuals that don't care or do nothing for us. Because when we do that, we give them absolute control over ourselves, and then subsequently we give them control over our homes and our women and our children. And once they have absolute power, what's the subject matter of the day, ladies and gentlemen? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And they will absolutely corrupt everything they get their hands on. So personal power, don't give away your personal power, my brothers. Don't give away your personal power, sisters. Teach your children to stand strong, Teach your children to know their rights, But more importantly, make the right decisions. I see a lot of brothers on here, on Facebook and YouTube, and they be having these seminars and these talks about their rights and, all that's good. Don't get me wrong. You need to know your rights. You need to know the Constitution. You need to know the law. But we've seen what absolute power does. And when this man's ego get in the way, you don't care how much law you know, He don't care how much Constitution you know. He gonna do what he's gonna do. And he gonna do it to you. He gonna do it the way he want to do it. All right. So make the right decisions. Know your law. Know your stuff. Know the Constitution. But make the right decisions. All right. Stay out of trouble. Stay out of negativity. You don't have to be the loudest, rudest, craziest person on the subway and the bus all the time. All right. Know how to roll in public and silence. Know how to be a strong, silent presence. Don't have to be up front all the time. Don't have to be loud all the time. True power doesn't need to be seen all the time. I think it was Frank Lucas that said the most loudest person in the room is often the most weakest. All right? So you don't have to be the loud, up front one all the time. True power doesn't need to be up front and seen all the time. You know, true power is reserved. True power, true strength is reserved. It's laid back, and it moves with distinction and purpose. Okay? It's about my time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get up out of here. You know, I want to keep on promoting clean living, clean, healthy living. Shout out to my brother Eric. He's been posting some videos about some of the things he did. He was suffering from type 2 diabetes and reversed that whole thing based on his diet. And he did a couple of videos. So if you're on Facebook, look for those videos. Shout out to our brother Tariq Nasheed in the 1804 movie that's coming out about the Haitian Revolution. If you haven't picked up Hidden Colors yet, do so. Shout out to our brother Colin Kaepernick. I understand that the NFL games this week were at their lowest ratings since I think 2009, which means that the boycott is working. We ask that you keep the boycott alive. We are boycotting the NFL. It's not about just Colin Kaepernick getting a job. A lot of people, you know, that's one thing I have to warn people about. You know, sometimes white supremacists can give you a backhanded slap, you know, backhanded compliment. You know, you be up in arms and then they say, well, Colin's got a job, you know, no need for the boycott. Nah, that's not why we boycotting. We're boycotting because of the inequity and the social conditions here in this country for black and brown people. And the boycott will continue until the NFL and their sponsors recognize that there is an inequity and they make a commitment to the people that service them. 70% of the NFL players come from black communities. A great deal of their money and their ratings come from Nubian people watching and going to those games. And they're feeling the crunch right now. I understand that their ratings dropped significantly. So people don't want to admit it, but the boycott is working. So let's keep that boycott alive. Today, as I get out of here, our unsung hero of the black community, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She died recently. We want to send a shout out to her and her family. We appreciate her for all the work that she has done on behalf of Nubian people. I suggest that you go on YouTube, look her up, Frances Cress Welsing. She is a scholar. She was a scholar. She was an activist. She fought tirelessly to awaken people and to take a stand against white supremacy. And we suggest that, again, like we do with all our other suggestions, get with her, sit with her videos, get with your young people, dissect her videos, discuss her life, and discuss who she was, because now she is an ancestor and she is watching over us and fueling our desire to make this world a better place. That's my time, guys. I am out of here. I thank you guys for joining me. Again, pass the word. Let people know that this post will be on YouTube this week. please go to the YouTube station, even if you watch this, and subscribe. I need you guys to subscribe, not just like. The likes are good and everything. The comments are great, but I need you to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button because that's the data that I will be presenting to the sponsors so that I can get the radio station up and running. Again, if you guys out there and you got some ideas for a radio show, hit me up. I'll review it and check it out because when I get the radio station going, I'm going to have it going 24 hours, and I'm going to want different ideas and different people presenting. Again, I don't want your money. Don't send no money. People been inboxing me saying they want to donate to the cause or whatever. I appreciate it, but right now I don't need that. I need you to hit the subscribe button. I need you to get your friends to hit the subscribe button. If you want to spend some money, I've been saying, and I'll say it again, go to YouTube, look up my album Tears, On the Wings of an Angel. Buy those albums, and some of those proceeds will be going to support the efforts. But at least you will be getting something for your money. You won't be just making a random donation. I don't want that. Like I said, people need their money. If you're gonna get something, I'd rather give you a product than you just giving me donations. But right now, I need you to subscribe. I can't say that enough. I do appreciate you guys coming out. Again, pass the word. Let your friends know. We're going to be coming out again Saturday, 2 o'clock every Saturday. I'll come to you live. The mic is live. I love you. And remember, don't get caught up in the lies that they tell, that you forget to prepare for the reality that's about to come. You guys take it easy. Remember, Florida, get out of there. If they telling you to get out of there, get out of Dodge, because this storm ain't no joke. Peace out, one love, and I'll see you.
Oh.